Hello and welcome to today's episode. My name is Tom Rolley for System.io.dev. Just had a phone call from my wife and she has told me that school has called her to say, come and get our son. And he's been a bit sick, runny nose, bit of a sore throat. Can you come and get him? And we want you to get a COVID test. It's like, okay, great. So she has to leave work, go pick him up, go do the COVID test thing. It's pretty unlikely, but I suppose there's a small chance. We have not had COVID here for, maybe 3 months now, maybe 2 months. The last case was 2 months ago. Whatever. I get it. They have to go and do it. But what is interesting to me is that 2 nights ago, both of my boys actually asked for the fan to be turned on while they were sleeping. Now we're in fall or autumn, and so the weather at night is quite cold. They're under duvets and they've got warm pajamas on, but the fan normally is not on. And I just wonder whether it dried out their mucous membranes and they develop sore throats. Now this could be one cause. It could also be that they've been exposed at school. And the other factor is that we have been having fires in our house to warm the house, and they haven't been doing those over the last 3 days. So we've got at least 3 factors here, and possibly even more. There might even be more, that for some reason somebody came from Sydney and visited or whatever, and they've had exposure. So there's multiple possible causes here for this outcome, that is that my son has to leave school because he's got a sore throat and a runny nose, and go get a COVID test, taking my wife out of action. Now, what I want you to appreciate here is that my family, perhaps like many families, does not have any documented protocols for how we do a lot of things. So it doesn't say anywhere in my family not to turn the fans on in the fall, but rather it's like, we make it up as we go along. But as I've already spoken to you, the difficulty is, working out what caused this, because it could have been the fans, it could have been exposure to somebody else, it could have been the lack of the fire. I just don't know. But what I want you to appreciate is that in your business, consequences could be significantly more severe. They could cost you time, could cost you energy, that things don't get done properly. You have to do them again. You get customer complaints. There's a lot of problems that come, and know that a business is actually a far more controlled environment than a family, or at least if your family is anything like mine, which is pretty loose at times. It's like, whoa, I've got 3 kids. My wife and I have 3 kids. 13, 10, and 7. We have electronics problems. We have a lot of challenging logistics, getting organized. Where did this go? Remembering hats, remembering lunches. I run a model called minimum viable parenting. I'm like, okay, guys, are you dressed? Are you fed? Okay, great, we can go. I'm really leaning towards having a checklist and the exit that says, did you forget any of these things? Hats, boots, musical instruments, books, homework. Because any of those things get forgotten, I just let them suffer as best I can now. I'm like, hey, you forgot it. You take responsibility. But in your business, you have the opportunity to control far more of these things. You are paying people, or you are at some level paying yourself, hopefully. And that work that you do needs to be of a certain quality in order to have a consistent outcome. You see, the problem with my family is that there's multiple causes. There's no documentation. I have no idea why my son got a sore throat. But in your business, if you do have documentation and you do have systems of ways of doing things, then you have control. You can actually go through and go, well, where did this break down? Was it that the system was wrong? Is it inadequate to actually generate the result we're trying to control? Or did somebody skip steps? Did somebody do something wrong? They didn't follow the instructions and they instead did something else. If you've got the documentation, then you can go and compare and say, hey, what happened here? So that it doesn't happen again and again and again. You see, the problem I've got is next year, which is 365 days from now, almost certainly we will have forgotten this lesson about the fans, if it even was the fans. We would have forgotten the lesson about consistently having the fire, if it was the fire. Hopefully, COVID will be over. It may not be. I don't know. Maybe it'll be exposure to people coming through town. But this almost certainly will have been forgotten because it's not documented. But when you're running your business, you have an opportunity to take control, to actually say, you know what we do impacts our clients. What we do makes a difference in the world. And therefore, it is worthwhile taking the effort to document how we do things, so that when stuff goes wrong, you don't have to continually suffer the outcome of variable results. You can actually go in and go, this is what happened. This is what needs to change. Here we go. Everybody be aware of what's going on now. If you want help with this, head over to systemio.dev, put in your name, put in your email, go watch the training there. Look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's episode. I'll let you know how Sammy's going. See you then.